welcome to the Just a Digital podcast, episode 5. Wow, number 5. I can't believe it's already number 5. I've been doing this every week, and I'm sorry if there's any of you who waited for my episode on Fridays. I normally do record my episode every Friday. Again, it became my Friday night ritual, but on Friday I went to another city to meet my old friend. I wonder if you know the city called Daegu. It is like 1 hour and 30-minute drive from Busan, the famous city. I think most of foreign tourists who come to visit South Korea, they definitely go to Busan these days. Like, Seoul is a must-go place, of course, but I've heard that one of the very fast-growing touristic place in South Korea is apparently Busan. And as a person who lived in Busan for 5 years, I can definitely relate why people love that place. And honestly, I think Busan is definitely a better place than Seoul in terms of tourism. Okay, in terms of tourism. So yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about Busan so spontaneously, but again, I went to Daegu to meet my friend. He's been my friend for over 8 years, and I had a great time. I feel like I was kind of fed up with the city around Seoul and the suburb area of Seoul, and I think I definitely need some phase in my life, like while I'm living in suburb area of Seoul or Seoul. I really need a phase of like a week maybe or a few days to stay outside of that Seoul and Seoul suburb area, like for sure. So I felt really nice, and I felt super nostalgic about hearing the Gyeongsangdo dialects, the accent. Especially Gyeongsang. I don't know if you know anything about this South Korea accent thing, if you're listening. Basically, the region where Busan, Daegu is from is called Gyeongsangdo. Like, if you want to compare it to the America, then it could be like states, kind of. So compared to America, it's a tiny place, but yeah. So Gyeongsangdo, it's where a lot of people have very, very strong accent. Like, some people don't even know that they have a strong accent, but they do. They do have a very strong accent. And as someone who lived in Busan for quite long, I can definitely understand why they get to have that accent very, very strongly. Like, for myself, I lived there for 5 years, and after just several weeks, I got really used to that accent, and I just found myself using the accent again, not from Gyeongsang, but literally my podcast name is Jeju Girl. So even though I hadn't lived there before I went to the uni, I got to a point where I was kind of talking like one of those people. It's really it's really contagious. Like, you get that accent very quickly if you live there for like several weeks even. So yeah, because of that, listening to the accent really reminded me of my uni life, and again, it reminded me about my friendship life, and like past exes and people I met during the uni. It was really nostalgic, and yeah, I went to Daegu, met my friend, had a great time there, and I went to the Ferris wheel and got onto the Ferris wheel. Had a wonderful day, a wonderful night. Like, there was a karaoke machine in the Ferris wheel. Can you believe it? Like, there was a karaoke machine, such a Korean thing. I just felt like this is the Korean thing ever. Like, put karaoke machine in the little cabin of the Ferris wheel. it's a tiny place, and somehow Koreans managed to put a tiny karaoke machine in a tiny karaoke cabin, and it was really funny. Like, my friend sang, I forgot the name of the song, it's super famous. It's by Oasis. Don't Look Back in Anger. Okay, right. I can't believe I forgot the name of it again. So my friend sang Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis in the cabin of Roosevelt. And it was really funny, and it was such a memorable moment this winter. So yeah, I had a great Friday, and now recording in my little room in Yongin, the suburb area of Seoul. After I came back from middle of Seoul, I met my friend again in Seoul today, and I came back at 11 p.m. ish, had a shower, and recording it now. So yeah, seems like I had a really, really long Friday and Saturday, I guess. So that was my apology of uploading my podcast episode a little bit late. Like, it's supposed to be Friday, but like Decembers are filled with a lot of plans with your friends, your loved ones, your family. So yeah, that was nice. I wonder about your guys' plan on December. Like, I'm sure most of people have a lot of plans, upcoming events with your family or your friends in December. End of the year, and Christmas is coming. It's next Thursday. And you know what? I think a lot of Koreans will relate to this, but there were so many dynamics. There were so many crazy events and accidents happened in South Korea lately, especially this year in 2025. It's been one of the most crazy years in South Korea as Korean, like politically, culturally, and like society-wise. A lot of dynamics, a lot of things happened, and I think Koreans are still on the procedure to process what's been happening lately. So I think that's why I felt, God, this year is super, super fast. Like, I knew as you age, time flies quicker and quicker as you age, but this year was definitely quicker. It could be the quickest year of my life in my 27 years. Again, a lot of things, a lot of dynamics, a lot of accidents and events happened in South Korea, politically, culturally, society-wise, and in my private life as well. So yeah, Christmas coming next Thursday, and I think I'm gonna record a special episode next Thursday or Friday-ish, kind of wrapping up this year, what happened, and what I've looked back and thought, and yeah, my New Year's resolutions maybe. I'm a really big fan of making resolutions every year. Because I love journaling. I journal every day, and it's one of my favorite activities to do in my life. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to share with you next week on the last episode of 2025. Wow. So today's episode, this topic just popped in my head, like most episodes I'm doing right now. It's always like this. It's always like me working or doing everyday normal stuff, and just so suddenly an episode topic just pops in my head. So in that moment, I just quickly go to my Notion app and write down the topic that I thought about, and just write it down, and on the bottom I'll write down the details, just a little bit of details about what I want to say in that episode according to the topic. And today's topic is about how to be happily alone. And it sounds like it contradicts the topic, the concept, the topic itself contradicts, because a lot of people struggle to like match the concept of being alone with happy, right? Because maybe because I came from a family where having a family friend is one of the most important thing. It's not only because I'm from Jeju. I think a lot of humans prioritize human relationships, whether it's family, your partner, or your friends, right? So I guess it's a human nature, right? Like wherever you go, whichever the country you go, whichever the society, a group, whatever that is, you'll see that people prioritize human relationships, like someone you love, someone you support, someone you admire. So yeah, we are humans who are obsessed with being with somebody else. And the reason I'm talking about this is that, so there was a huge motivation by my coworker. So one of my coworkers, she gave me advice. I think it was advice / just sharing her thought about life in general. Is that she said one of the key things that she teaches to her kids, she has 2 kids, about life is that she said this quote in front of me, and that really resonated with me, which was, your success in life highly depends on how wisely you spend your time alone. I will say that again. Your success in life highly depends on how wisely you spend your time alone. And that really clicked me in my head. Like, it really resonated with my already existed life values. And it has been one of my favorite topic to think about, journal about, and share insight with friends a lot, is that it took me a while to understand this, you know. Again, it took me a while to understand, to be content with being yourself alone, like being adaptive to loneliness was one of the most difficult and hard lesson to learn in my life, because if you've been listening to my podcast, I think you've already recognized that I'm a very extroverted person. I'm not like hyper extroverted, super like who has friends like 100 people, who has like thousands of WhatsApp groups, like someone who has like 10 friend group chats. I'm not like that. I'm not that level, definitely, but I am definitely a person who prioritize the friendships, relationships, family, and even though I say this, I prefer like having my old friends. Well, I do like making new friends, of course, but I think I'm more leaning to maintaining and cultivating the friendship that already exists in my life, which I really, really cherish. Like, I often think having an old friend or having a strong connection with someone that you've already knew for, I don't know, could be months or could be years, but I'm a big fan of those accumulated friendship, you know? Like, someone who you don't have to explain yourself, explain your life, what you're going through. Well, yeah, I can explain that to you every time I meet new friends. That's nice, but still, sometimes it's energy draining to explain everything about yourself and your life in general, all the damn time. So, the more you age, you kind of lean towards something that is not uncertain, right? You kind of lean towards to certainty and like anticipated stuff, right? I don't really like something that is unexpected, unanticipated. Like, I want a stability more than excitement now. So, yeah. as I said I am extroverted. I like making friends, and I am definitely a friend girl. I love friends. I love family. I need some more people around me. Right now, I think I'm more getting used to being alone. Like, it sounds super weird to say it loud as a 27-year-old to say this, but it's true. Like, it took me a while to adapt to be happy and to be happily alone, right? Because for me to accept the fact that there are people around me, not even around me, like in the world, there are people who will be completely happy and content even though they're not with anyone. Those people who doesn't have any partner, or someone who barely have a friend, who loves staying at home all day, doing nothing, meeting no one, and still be happy with themselves and being like, it feels so right, you know. But I was never that kind of person. So it took me, I would say, I think it took me like a year to be happily alone, and to cultivate that ability to be happily alone. The reason I'm saying this is because the reason I kind of try to be happily alone, yes, like it didn't naturally became like this. It took me some energy and learnings to be happily alone, like right now. It's because there was a moment in my life that I found myself where I wasn't happy alone. Like, I was constantly craving for people's attention, people that I can share my thoughts with, someone who can share my concerns and my issues with, right? Like, I think I was really selfish to want someone to be around me and only listens to myself, not letting me to let them speak. Yeah, like, again, it really, now it sounds real selfish, but back then I didn't know I was selfish, right? Back then I didn't know I was so selfish to be craving for someone's love, attention and support without truly and genuinely listening to what they've been doing, and to be genuinely curious about what they'd be doing and what they like, what their concern is. I think I was so obsessed with me, right? Like, I'm this sad, I am this concerned, I have this issue, like, I'm happy with this, I like these, without asking, what about you, right? It's very basic and very childish, fundamental concept of communicating, right? It's something you learn from, don't know, like, from the moment that you speak, right? From as a baby. And yeah, there was a moment that I felt like that and I acted like that, which now I kind of regret about. And so there was a moment, like I said it before, that I felt like I can't be happy on my own. I need a person around me, whoever that is. That's the toxic part, right? Like, if I was craving someone who already has been friend for, I don't know, for a very long time, or who's been already supportive with my life, someone who's already knows me well, then there's no problem at all, I believe. But the toxic part is that I would always want someone, no matter who they are, right? Like, as long as they will listen to me and have some reactions to what I'm saying, and some, like, who are those people, like, you know, barely tolerable. Like, I wouldn't really mind even if they were kind of rude sometimes, because I needed someone to be around me. God, it sounds really, really depressing just by saying this. To confess to the internet world about what kind of person I was. I was really selfish. I was obsessive, and yeah, I was a bit miserable. So I just couldn't stay being alone in my bedroom without anyone, without any plan that night. And I remember I've been feeling really empty and lonely if I was just lying on my bed in my little bedroom without anyone else, without any plan to meet someone that night. Yeah, I felt a bit sad that not sad, I think it was more like anxiety, you know? It really was anxiety. I remember I felt really anxious and agitated to be alone without any plans, nobody to talk to, nobody to hang out with that day. And I didn't realise this. I didn't realise it was that bad until my brother told me, like, sis, I think you've got to think very seriously about your situation right now. Seems like you can't tolerate to be alone. Seems like you're always around it with people, those people who doesn't really mean to you, right? And you're constantly looking for someone, constantly, and that really worries me. That's what my brother said. And at first my reaction was like I got a bit aggressive, because it really was a spot on reaction. It really was a spot on review, like spot on opinion about me at that point. You know, I think a lot of people have the experience, but families, because they love you and because they see you all the time, they have the sharpest opinion about yourself, right? They have the sharpest and most honest opinion about who you are right now, what you're going through, and what your issues are. And that sometimes makes you really aggressive, because it's so true. It's so true. And it's painfully true. And I wasn't mature enough to accept that honest opinion about myself by someone that I love the most. So I got a bit aggressive, and I remember I was kind of having very passive aggressive reaction towards that. I was like, well, it's none of your business, you know, the classic reactions to someone that you already feel like that you understand what they're saying, and you kind of agree to what they say, right? So since then, that really clicked me in my head about, God, I really am a 25-year-old. I was 25-year-old back then when I heard this from my brother. I'm such a miserable 25-year-old woman who can't even cope with being alone, right? And keeps sticking to someone that doesn't really mean anything to me, like chasing someone who doesn't really want me, right? Who doesn't choose me. Like, I was always the one who's chasing them, right? So that was a big realization. And the second realization from like recently was the quote that I said earlier from my coworker, saying, your success in life highly depends on how wisely spend your time alone. And yeah, that really changed my way of thinking about being alone, those two instances that happened to me. And that opinion kind of connected to my own thinking about my personal experience with other people. Whilst I was already kind of trying so hard to be happily alone and like keep working on how am I going to not waste my time and energy to someone who doesn't mean anything to me. Like, how am I gonna cultivate my ability to be happily alone, and how to like invest in myself, how to always choose myself, not the others. Whilst I was struggling with that, and to be honest, I'm still struggling with this, is that kind of connected to my personal experience of like this September I was working in a personal institute, English institute, of teaching people how to speak English, and I was working there temporarily, and my role was to let people talk in English, to motivate them, to help them to talk in English more and more, because they came there, paid the money to be better in English, and I was there to help them. And my strategy was to kind of pull those things, like pull some topics from out of them to let them speak more. For example, their hobbies, their favorite things, their favorite activities, and what do they do when they're alone, basically. And turns out most of them didn't even had like specific hobby, an activity to call a hobby at least. And because most of them were full-time job workers, they were always kind of overwhelmed with work and their future plans about life, marriage, weddings, work, money. Their head was already filled with realistic stuff. So I've heard a lot of people saying, I really do nothing when I go back home. I just look at my YouTube all day, and maybe until I go to bed. And I barely saw someone saying, this is my hobby, this is what I do when I'm alone, and this makes me happy. And it was even heartbreaking to witness that people didn't have a specific activity to call it a hobby, and something they would say, this makes me happy, this makes me really entertaining, right? Among all those people in that institute. And I feel like maybe to be happily alone, like being content with being alone without anyone else, can be hard, right? Itself can be difficult. Like, to some people it can be simple, but I guess the reason why people always struggle with sticking to someone who doesn't really mean to them, or having a good friends and having a supportive partner became such a life-challenging stuff to do, like life-challenging missions to accomplish, is because I'm guessing that most people aren't good at being alone, right? Because, come on, like, in our phone we can do everything's in there, like, even while you don't get one step out of this house, you can kind of resolve any problem. Like, you can order Uber Eats from phone, so you don't need to go outside to get a food. You can order almost everything from phone, so you don't have to step out of home, So we're living in a generation where connection isn't very necessary, So it's so easy to be trapped in social media, phone, internet world without seeing anyone. And it's let's make it clear, it is entertaining. Like, I know being on phone is really toxic and it kind of rots your brain, but still, it's very entertaining. Like, every time in the internet world, every new thing pops out and every amazing, shocking news comes out. So we really can't stop looking at our phone, basically. So because we're so trapped in our phone, it's really hard to find another activity to do, which we could call it hobby, right? And sometimes it's kind of sad to witness myself. Like, I'm gonna be really honest. It's sometimes sad to see myself looking at my phone, like hours and hours, having book on my side. I love reading, but it's getting, like, I'm gonna be honest, it's getting more and more difficult to be present with my book, you know. And except on my, like, looking at my phone, a lot of things looks very productive except looking at the phone. And I think phone became the main thief to store our time and energy, and like getting rid of the activity that we can call it hobby, right? And maybe that's a price that we have to pay in order to enjoy this convenience, you know, like to be able to Google everything, like to be able to search everything about everything and get that result, something that you're curious of in 2 seconds, 1 second, on ChatGPT, Google, YouTube, whatever. It's always there. So smartphone, internet, social media really became a thief of stealing all the good hobbies and productive activities that people used to do. And and I sometimes wonder, like, is looking at a phone all day, even though I've done it at home alone without seeing anyone, does it truly mean that I was alone? Like, that question sounds super weird, but I hope you understand what I'm saying, right? Like, if you've been on phone all day without seeing anyone, does that really mean that you've been alone? Like, alone? Because being on a phone naturally means that it doesn't give you a space to think about some stuff. It doesn't let you have the coherence of what you think that is, right? Whether it's not only whether it's good or bad, but whether it's right or wrong, or whether what I truly think about that topic or that stuff. Yeah. And it doesn't let you think. It doesn't let you breathe. It doesn't let you talk to yourself, which is very, very critical if you want to have a healthy relationship with yourself. So I've been thinking about what do I do when I'm alone, except me on the phone. And I wrote down the list, and the first thing was reading. Again, I'm a huge book lover. I have a very strict rule in my life to read at least one book in a month, and thankfully I've been doing that for maybe like 2 years, 3 years, but I've been consistent with reading since I was 19. And secondly, cooking. I love cooking. It is my favorite activity to do. Like, I don't even know if I can call it a hobby, because it's so part of my life. So I refuse to the opinion saying like if you live alone Like, you kind of start to be really lazy with taking care of your diet, food, generally. But I'm a huge food lover, a huge foodie, and love cooking. And for me, whenever I come back from work, I always think about the menu I'm gonna cook that night, and what I'm gonna buy on the way, what I'm gonna get the groceries, and what kind of menu that I'm gonna cook tonight. It's really, really, like, it really does make me happy. It really perfects my day, basically. So, I mean, I can talk about cooking and reading for hours and hours. So let's keep that aside from now on. And third, journaling. I love journaling. I've been doing that since I was, don't know, like 7, 8, as long as I remember. Because I'm such a yapper, even in my head, I really have to clear it out through journaling and writing diaries. It is really, really important in my life. I just can't stop writing. It's my favorite activity to do. And fourth, it was writing something, which is almost the same as the third one, journaling. But it's kind of different because even while I'm reading, I must write something, right? I think it came from my personal belief that I'm not smart. Like, I really have to write down in order to understand what they're saying, and to actually, like, to write down in my brain, like, literally, like, I really wanted to, like, engrave that thought, that narrative, that theory in my head, in order to understand it and to memorize it as long as I can. So yeah, to writing things, that's really important to me. And fifth, YouTube. Don't know, I used to love YouTube as a tool of learning English and learn the world, but maybe I can talk about it later in the future episodes. Is that I sometimes believe YouTube became a bit toxic. It's so commercialized, it's so connected to money making and commercials, adverts, and I think I just miss the YouTube, the old YouTube, the true YouTube, where people from all around the world, without any like commercialized videos, they just did the fuck they want to do, right? They wouldn't care about their supporters. They wouldn't care about the comments. They just did whatever they want. And again, because YouTube became so commercialized, and there are hundreds of people who is working for that YouTube channel, and I just miss the old raw YouTube where there's only one person who's in control of that channel, and they would do whatever they want to do, and I could see they're doing whatever they want to do, and they just adore what they're doing because it's their channel. They can do whatever they want. But now it feels like they have to care about the comments, the social standards. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but you know what I'm saying. And they don't have to think about their supporters' money. I just want the raw YouTube that people used to be really, really honest, authentic. Again, it's very personal opinion. And yeah. Anyways, 6-1, the things I normally do to enjoy the day on my own was 6-1 was movies. The reason again, I can have a separate episode about movie. Maybe you can talk about that later, not now. But yeah, watching movies is again my favorite thing to do. And second, exercise. Again, I don't even know if that I can call it a hobby, something that I enjoy to be while I'm alone, because it's part of my life now. God, that sounds like I'm super athletic. I am not that athletic, but I really do have to move, work out, and exercise at least twice a week. It's so mandatory in my life right now. So, yeah, these are things that I can call it hobby and something that I enjoy being alone. But again, I am telling you that I'm still struggling to get out of my phone and still searching a wise way to really cultivate my time and energy to something more productive and to be more self-investment thingy, you know? So, yeah, like today's episode I just talked about, like, my co-worker's quote about your success depends on how you spend your time being alone, and I talked about my past experience of being alone and how I felt through the experience of to adapt to the concept of happily being alone, and compare it to right now, like what do I do to be happy alone. And I just want to end this episode saying, I'm saying this multiple times, but I'm still processing to be happily alone. Like, again, it's a bit embarrassing to say this, but as a very extroverted person, as a person who gets energy from somebody else, someone that I love, someone that I love spending time with, I often find myself a bit sad and a bit low energy when I'm not with anyone. But I definitely have improved, and I think me cultivating and working on that ability would help me to not chase the person who doesn't choose me or doesn't reciprocate my love and effort, like attention, and sticking to someone who doesn't really mean anything to me, and to be rather happily alone rather than sticking to someone who doesn't mean anything to me, to be in a toxic relationship, to be an amazing person, to always choose myself, like always, not the others. Always someone who chooses their happiness, always someone who chooses their life values, their future plans, their present self, right? Their present happiness and the present productivity. So I made this episode to make it clear that I want that in my life. I want myself to be like that until I die. And it's really hard, I can say. Like, I really want to say that it's okay right now, I'm alright, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be authentic, is that I'm struggling, and I'm on my way to be that person, even now. So, yeah. I think I like this episode a lot. I think I said it the last episode about the about my failures. Sorry, it took me a while to remember back what I've done last week. So yeah, this was also very personal opinion / experience to share with the internet world. But I'm kind of assuming that a lot of people can relate to what I've been saying this episode. So I'm glad that I chose this episode. And again, things that I can call a hobby, like reading, cooking, journaling, writing, YouTube, movie, exercises, each of them can be a single episode, honestly. Like, I can say I have loads to talk about every one of them. So I will look forward to talk about that topics as well on my next episode. So I guess this is the end, and I'll come back on next Friday, maybe Thursday, but I promise you I'll come back next week, every week. And again, thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you have a wonderful Christmas or a wonderful December. I hope you don't get a cold while everyone is enjoying it. It will feel really crap, like if you're sick while everyone is so enjoying their December, their Christmas, right? So take care of yourself. Eat a lot of. Don't forget to be, like, talking to yourself and asking yourself whether you're right. And eat well, sleep well. All right. Why am I saying this? All right. Thank you. Bye bye. Love you.